Welcome back to our series on the front end restoration of this DB6. We have jumped the gun a little bit. As you can see, we've actually put the doors on. Now, the reason behind this is because we need to make new channels for the insides of the door pillars for the rubber seal. So to do that, first we want to hang the doors and make sure this gap down here is quite consistent. Obviously it's going to aid when we're wrapping the aluminium around as well. As you can see, this does taper off quite a bit. Now the door is gapped. So all we'll do is we'll just scribe down here and just make sure we'll shave this down and match this gap. Do the same both sides, and obviously make sure the doors are hung nicely and correctly first as well. So now we pull these off and Johnny can get on and start fabricating these channels down here, and then we are ready for the front skin fit up process. So that's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a fun episode. So stay tuned and keep watching.
So just working on getting the front door gap sorted. As you can see, I've used the layout fluid. So what I'm going to do now is mask up the edge of this door. Yeah, there's not too much to skim off of this one. You can see probably better at the bottom maybe. Yeah, it's only, about 1.5 millimeters, so. Hey, I'm working on the last bit of the steel work on the DB6, basically making a little, capture-in piece that holds these door seals in. So these are, it's got to be made in 2 pieces. So you've got one piece that follows down the bottom half of the door, then you've got another one that will basically enclose the top here. So it's literally, just a piece that you squeeze the rubber between. I already basically tried to run through the process of figuring out how to make this one. That went pretty smoothly, so now I'm going to run you through making one for the other side. The first step is take basically a measured flat piece. We're going to put in our initial curve just straight in the roller. Run that through, let me catch that. So that's going to put our general curve of the door in. That's already set at the right dimension since I did the other side a minute ago. Next step is to get a line marked all along here. This is where I'm going to basically put the step into the part. I'll show you that, and we'll be doing it on the bead roller. Try and keep it nice and straight on that line. Give us. That gives us the initial step. With the bead rolled lip having been put in, the next step is to create this shape. There's actually quite a simple process really. Did have to make up a small diameter dolly, likewise with this one. So I used the big one here to get the initial bend and curve in. Then used this to basically do the reverse little lip that curls up at the end.
I am.
So the front end skin is now finally in place where I want it. We've taken measurements from the pillar to the front of the headlight cowl on both sides, just to make sure it's in the right sort of position both sides. They're within kind of 3mm tolerance both sides, which is pretty good for a hand-built car. Same with measuring to the arches. Obviously we've laser lined the front, trying to get the middle lined up with the centre line of the car, and also as well gauging, having our datum line, the horizontal datum line, measuring off up and down from the light fittings and the recess of the headlight bulbs. And yeah, it's in a pretty solid place now, so drilled and fitted a couple of reference pins in the front, so when I take it back off for final trimming, then it can go back on the same place. Same with down the back, I've got a couple of reference points as well. Yeah, so now I'm ready to, with my little right angle pick, just to get round and scribe around all the tipping edges, so I can just trim off the excess when I take it back off, and then it's kind of ready for final fitment. And this will be I'll probably take it off, do one last round of trimming, fit it back up just to finalise it, and then it will be off for the final time for paint and prep on all the steelwork underneath. There is one other thing I have to do as well. So the front end, which I didn't realise, the front end does come a bit short on the lower part of the wings. So I'm going to have to fabricate lower part of the seal to extend to the front. So I'll get that done, weld it to the panel first so I can weld and dress both sides before I do put it on for its last time. So that is one thing I didn't really account for that I'd have to do, but hey ho, that's how it is. Yeah, exciting stuff. Right, now this is final fitment of the complete front end now. I have it all pinned in place. I've got a lot of reference points where I've been taking measurements from. It is still a hand-built front end, so they are different side to side. So what I'm doing as well is taking measurements from other vehicles just to determine things like the wing vent locations, how far they need to be from the door shut, the relation of the wheel inside the wheel arch, the measurement front to back. So I just want to get like a happy medium of a couple of different examples before I 100% commit to pinning this and welding it in place. When I took off last time, my scribe line for the tipping edge in the bonnet recess wasn't quite prominent enough, so I've used the Daikin blue like layout fluid and applied that on there, and I'm going to re-scribe my line under there, but that'll be the last time it needs to come off then. Another thing I'm going to touch on as well is the aluminium and working it as well. So the grade of this aluminium is 1050A, which is quite a nice supple aluminium. It's strong but flexible at the same time. With that as well, we use the 1050 suitable welding rods as well, or we cut strips of the parent material to weld it together. When you weld an aluminium, you kind of want to be able to get to both sides to weld it and planish it and dress it off properly. Panels are now folded up. I had to put them through the wheel, just put a tiny bit of compound curve in there, very minimal though. Tip the bottom edge over, and now I've positioned it on the car and just marked up where my arch line's going to finish off, and that'll be my tipping edge, which I'm going to run through the bead roller in a second, just to break the edge, ready for, or to ease the process of wire edging it. And then I've just marked off my excess. I'm going to trim that down, and then they'll be ready to pin in place and weld onto the car. Right, that's the final shape of our new lower wing sill pieces made, and they've been pinned in place using these Clecos and the Cleco tabs. We actually make those and sell those as kits, but these are great. They're like a modular kit, so you can drill your holes, remove the panel on and off as many times as you want, and always go back in the same place. So they're an absolute godsend when doing panels like this. But yeah, I've done my scribe line. This is already cut off and then welded into the actual wing piece now. So we've got the front end pulled off now, that's all finalised, and the lower wing sections are now tacked in place. So I made a note of all the last final checks and adjustments I've got to make before it goes back on for the final time. Obviously we've still got to clean this up and get this in a coat of some director metal or epoxy primer. So one of the jobs we've had to do is this front side's had a bit of a shunt, so we've had to remake these. These are the bumper brackets. So tubes go through the actual front of the bodywork and onto these. So we've had to remake these, but I've just laser lined across the two from the other side to this side, and this side is actually about 10 mil high. So quite a rudimentary way of getting it down is just basically smashing a bar into there and bending it. So I'm just gonna these come down about 10 mil. Really need any heat yet. I mean, that's already come down about 8 mil or so there. So I'll just double check with my measurements, and then I can drill the holes in these, fully weld these, and then that's one thing done. I'll probably put a couple more welds in there because this is where it's had an accident, it's quite fatigued. And then all the returning edges around like the bonnet aperture and around the door shuts, where the aluminium actually folds around, I've got to make sure they are all level all the way through. And what you want is the edge of this to be at a slight angle, so when you fold it round you don't hit any high spots in with the edge of the flange. So I'm going to go through all that, just check it's all good, make sure there's no pinholes we have missed or anything like that, just make sure I'm 100% before we go full commit to the front end. And yeah, we've got to cut the holes out for the side vents in the new aluminium panels we've made here as well. So yeah, can't forget that because that'll be a bit of a nightmare when it's all together. So that is the bumper mounts now welded in place. I didn't bother filming it, just MIG welded those ones. Finished a bit of welding up around here, around these tubes here where we replaced these. One thing I nearly forgot about, so I'm glad I remembered at the last minute. The drain tubes for the front panel. So she's got two copper pipes that are like kind of silver soldered into this panel. Throw those in the bin. We've gone for stainless steel. Pretty simple, it's like 10 mil or 3/8 OD tube, and I can bend those with brake pipe or brake tube bender. I thought you might need a bit of heat actually, but it's quite a thin wall, so and it bends without crushing. So That's actually surprised me a little bit as well. So I use that one as a template. And it's kind of simple as that really. So quickly tick those in, and I think that's going to be the end of this episode. We covered quite a lot in this episode. We're not going to cover too much on the paint side of things in regards to this Aston Martin as well, because we've done quite a few paint videos before. So we'll brush onto that when we get to it, but this is mainly to show you guys an insight into what we find underneath, you know, front ends like this on Aston Martin. Basically the insight that goes into, you know, the foundations of the metalwork and stuff like that, and our processes into that, because we haven't really touched on it too much in our YouTube videos. So yeah, so if that kind of interests you, make sure you look back at the other videos and the front end replacement of this. Yeah, we'll probably have one more episode, and that will cover the actual final fitting of the front clamp, and then obviously clean this up, painting this, and how we flange it around. So yeah, thanks again for watching. Stay tuned, and please like, comment, share, and follow, subscribe us. It really helps us, and yeah, it gives us obviously a bit more of a drive to create more content for you guys as well. So thank you, see you soon. And then I can, oh, fucking balls.